They're trying to do things now where they're talking about minor attracted persons.
Crazy.
And you're seeing elected politicians, elected officials talking about being very clear that this is an identity, that these are minor attracted persons.
Sick. It's really that, right? You have people talking about pedophiles being maps, they'll call them. Whether it's this video recently that Libs of TikTok posted of these children, and I think Oklahoma maybe, sucking on toes. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Of teachers or adults or whoever these people are.
Is that what it was?
Sick. Yes, it was a fundraiser.
What, the
no
children
bake sale,
sucked on the toes of
no
the adults?
car wash. Sucking toes was going to be their fundraiser.
It's definitely adults?
Yeah, definitely adults. Or whether it's now you have these men, the CDC that says men can produce breast milk and lactate. I got news for you. Any man who forces a baby to latch onto his nipple and suck it is using that baby as an erotic prop. And right, they do this under the guise of human rights. It is not a human right for anyone to sexually abuse a child. So all of that to say, there's this big push, so it seems, whether it's the gender ideology movement, there's this big push to seemingly normalize pedophilia, which is grotesque. It is perverse. It's disgusting. Parents who are okay with this, Democrats who are okay with this, who vote in favor of a lot of this nonsense stuff, you're a sellout to your own child. And honestly, I think there's a separate conversation that needs to be had if you are an elected official voting in favor of this stuff with kids. I think there's a separate conversation that needs to be had involving CPS, because again, that's disgusting, to say the least.
And it's always been morally reprehensible. It's always been a thing that we wanted to kill people for. And now all of a sudden we're saying that it's an identity. Again, if I was trying to destroy a country, I would throw that into the educational system, and I'd make it seem virtuous to discuss this in an open-minded and objective way. Like, they can't help who they identify with.
Well, and honestly, right, like, again, being a Christian, the Bible tells us that we will reach a point, and Paul says it in Acts and Romans and different places. He tells us that we will reach a point where bitter is seen as sweet, dark is seen as light, and evil is seen as moral. It's undeniable that that's not what we're seeing now. And look, that's not to say that people who identify as trans are evil. I don't necessarily think that. But what is evil is deception.
Yeah.
Manipulation is evil. Temptation is evil. Lying and affirming delusions, that's evil. And that's exactly how Satan works and how he operates, is in the darkness. But now a lot of it is coming to light. Again, thanks to people like Elon Musk.
It sounds loony when we start having these kind of conversations about like Satan and evil and good and, you know, and biblical stories. But as time goes on, I think that what the Bible is I think at one point in time, there was a very sophisticated society that got wiped out by some sort of a massive natural disaster. And then over time, they told the stories that they had learned since they stopped writing things down, and they probably had to live like barbarians for thousands of years. But they always had the stories. Literally the Big Bang. In the beginning, there was light. If you told that for thousands of years, that's what that would be.
Right.
The Adam and Eve in the garden, the creation, that someone created this. Like that they were trying to tell us, and that men can go down evil, wicked ways, and it can lead to destruction. And these are some of the symptoms that you'll see when it leads to destruction. It's like, this is like a map of civilization.
Right.
It's just so old, and it's been translated so many times from ancient Hebrew and Aramaic and all these different languages down to Greek and Latin and English finally. It's like, there's so much, like, what was really said? What was really going on? Because a lot of it seems too on the money. Like, if we wanted to try to put this through some sort of a logical filter or figure out, like, is someone really trying to warn us about the natural progression that all societies and all civilizations go down if you don't have a moral compass and if you don't follow and adhere to the rules of God?
Well, there's still stuff that hasn't yet, right? Like what has been prophesied that hasn't yet happened. So time will tell, right?